And there is that is an amphibian, and that one is a reptile, and that is a bird, and that is a mammal, and that is a human being. Okay? What you're going to find is that the same pattern, the same basic parts are there, just more or less. Okay? So this thing right here is called the brain stem. Right there. It's hidden here in the human one, but we have one that's pretty well developed. We see all animals have a brain stem. And again, the human one is fairly well developed. When you learn about what the brain stem does, it makes perfect sense. It is where the most basic functioning of the animal is controlled. The basic functioning of the animal is controlled. A heartbeat, slight adjustments to heartbeat that are the result of changes in blood pressure is handled at the brain stem. A frog, a cat, an alligator all need to be able to control their blood pressure without having to think about it. Okay? This thing right here is called the cerebellum. Okay? And the cerebellum is really good at memorizing movements and then coordinating movements with posture and great skill. Okay? The cerebrum does that too, but the cerebellum is all about posture and movement. We can see here that all animals possess cerebellum. And in some animals, it may be even better developed than it might be in other animals. The larger it is, the more better developed it is, more than likely the more agile that animal is. Okay? Then we get finally, we can't see the diencephalon, so we'll leave that alone. We finally get to the cerebrum. Some cerebra are smooth. Smooth means less surface area. If the cerebral cortex is on the surface and that's where thinking is, this animal has less cerebral cortex than that animal over there. When we fold, okay, we increase surface area, we have more neurons as part of the cerebral cortex, the thinking and conscious part of the brain. If we're smooth, we have less. If we're wrinkled, we have more. So, some birds actually are really quite intelligent. But by having smooth cerebrum and reduced cerebral size, these are animals that are probably built more around instinct than they are conscious thought. Okay? And if you look at, particularly frogs and alligators, their behaviors are really, they can be complicated, but they're really pretty simple animals. Okay? They eat, they hide out, they have sex, that's about it. Okay? They're not painters, they don't put their paws on cave walls and spit paint in between the fingers. Okay? Doesn't happen. All right? It's this thing here, highly wrinkled cerebral cortex, that allows this brain, or this cerebrum, to possess billions of neurons. And by doing that, then, some big changes. Last thing on this slide. This thing right here, right there, ours are reduced a bit, right there. These are referred to as olfactory bulbs. Olfaction is the sense of smell. You can see that all the animals possess olfactory bulbs associated with the sense of smell. But the larger they get, the more neurons they incorporate, and more likely then, the better the sense of smell of the animal. Okay? Humans don't rely so much on smell as they do on sight, and our olfactory bulbs are a bit reduced. The final lesson here is really review, and that is the more of a particular brain part you have, the better you are at doing what that brain part does. Okay? Yes?
Like, when you train a dog,
yeah,
is it like consciously thinking about it? Or?
That's a great question. And that, are you a dog trainer?
No.
Okay, I think you, it's a really good question. Dogs, I really can't say much, except my experience with dogs leads me to believe that they are thinkers to some degree. Okay, I don't know what your experience is, but having been faced with some complicated problems, a dog that I owned was able to actually deal with some of those things. Dog is probably going to have a cerebrum a lot more like this, and then certain areas of the cerebrum may be bigger than others, okay? And the bigger certain areas are, the more likely they are then to be able to consciously think. This area here, and then I promise I get off this area here, the frontal lobe, and then portions of this one here, the temporal lobe, are where we do our thinking and memory and decision making. This area here, when it has been altered either through weird experimentation or through accident, usually a person loses a lot of their sort of social consciousness and inhibitions when the prefrontal area of the cortex is damaged. So it's thought that the prefrontal area is an area that really kind of makes humans who they are. The ability to rationalize, their ability to, let's say, think in contextual ways. It's inappropriate for me to take my pants down in here, okay? I could certainly do it. I have all the mechanics to do this and just drop them. But in a social setting, it is inappropriate to do so. It's the prefrontal area that is telling me don't do that. What if I have to urinate? Dropping the pants is instinctual. Okay, gotta urinate, drop the pants. But you don't do it here. And that's a prefrontal thing that is most advanced in human beings.
Glad you have that, Lou.
Okay.